Welcome back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert. It's my pal Susan. We are here reminding you that we're looking for 1,000 subscribers. So please like and subscribe. Get us going. October 31 is the day. That's the day we're looking to be at 1,000. So please do that. Susan, I wanted to bring up the we're going to the All In by the time this is published. We'll either be there or people will. We can be looking back at it. But there's a couple talks that we're going to be part of, and one in particular is in my mind right now, and it is it's called your toolkit, your improv toolkit.
Mhm.
And I was putting this together, and it's not the first time we've approached this because we know the model as we're building. I cannot teach all of these. I need to train the trainers, as it were. But there's something that happens in improv, and I wanted to get your thought on this because it's what it feels like. Sometimes people go, "Oh, sure, just show me a couple games and we'll be good," and they feel like they can walk out the door. And what I was thinking is, I put together the PowerPoint for that. I said, "Well, would you go to David Leventhal and say, just show me a couple of steps, and then I can teach a dance?"
Great analogy.
So
Yeah.
talk to me about, because I know you get it and see it. What's the difference between people seeing, oh, if I knew a couple games, then I could teach improv, versus the yaks factor?
It's context. It's that when you have more, if you have 25 examples instead of two, you have different flavors and different um, interpretations that you see all of them are accepted. Sort of kind of no matter what anybody does, there's no judgment. and and if we're confused, you embrace the confused and you encourage us to do the same thing. You kind of have to live through that, Robert, to get it. And it almost every class changes.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to come up, and I'm very much looking forward to the session for that reason. And I what I've always done and what I'll continue to do is lay the absolute truth out there in front of everyone and say, I'm here to train the trainers, and frankly, I don't know exactly how to do that, because I don't know where you're coming from, what your level of experience is, and also, as much as I've done of this work, I haven't spent time training others how to do it yet. So I don't know where the gaps really exist.
Yeah, I think that's it, because so much of this is innate to you that you don't know what's learned, or I mean, I'm sure you know some of what's learned, but it's much more fluid and softer than that.
Right. And that's the difficulty, right? Because I mean, here's the number one of the things I came back to when I was hinting toward at the beginning, is that if you've made it about the games, you've missed it, right?
Mhm,
It's not
mhm.
about the games are open source. And I always tell everybody, hey, look, if you just think improv is cool, get Viola Spolin's book, look up any old website you want, type in improv games on Google, have some fun. If you think it's about the games, and maybe for your purposes it is, great. What
Mhm.
I'm doing, what the yaks factor is quite different. And I really think, and I'm going to get deeper into this at another time, but it has to do with, as we've talked about, the classroom, right? It's the feeling of connection, of safety, of acceptance, excitement, enthusiasm, engagement, those things. How do we create that space? The games, as Pat Short, my dear friend up in Portland, who's been, doing this for 4 decades, are barely even games. That
He
that
said
could
that.
be that could be an insult,
He said, Robert, these are barely even games. Is that what he
right?
said?
And I embrace that. I don't, and I think he
Absolutely.
meant it as a compliment too, because he gets it, having done it far enough to recognize the games are not the point. This is where it gets almost Zen-like, right? The point is the connection. The point is the feeling that the individuals are having. You have to be ready to scrap a game entirely if it's not working or is too low of a level, or break down a game entirely if it's way above and not working. And that's where all of the training for the yaks instructor comes into play. And that's why improv is not improv is not improv. The teacher makes all the difference.
Remember when I was telling you about my favorite high school teacher a few episodes ago?
Mhm.
And she pulled in, it was Greek and Latin roots, prefixes, and
Right,
suffixes, right?
right.
It was the best class I ever took. And she pulled in things from all kinds of, sources. And that's what you do. It's very easy and natural for you to pull in history, philosophy, theology, pedagogy, sandboxes. I mean, it's just, you have, it's not that you've never forgotten anything, but it feels
Right.
like that sometimes, that
Well,
you could just tap into things.
thank you for saying that. And hopefully what I'm doing is modeling the exact thing that we are, which is yes and. Anything I'm tapping into is yes and, because that's what yes and is: acceptance of the point and the drawing to a new spot. Acceptance of
Yeah.
the point and a drawing to the new spot, right? And we're just firing out in all directions at once, right? And
And,
just
and,
keep
and you've got a Zoom screen full of people, at least half of whom can't really believe that's going to happen. That if they say this thing that somehow in their mind they're afraid to say or whatever, that it's going to be exactly the right thing to say. And when they do, you embrace that. So if you're going to be teaching your teachers anything, that's what it would be, to embrace everything.
I'm going to leave it right there with embrace everything. That's a good final note. See you next time.